Barry, is that fireplace functional? You think I would have checked by now? Oh my god. I'm immune to fire and heat. Well, finally, I figured out what my superpower was, right? I mean, it took a while, but like, all right, that's the one. I'm immune to fire and heat. We're gonna have fun with that later, I guess. No, it's actually just a nice little warm plate over here. It's not that hot. It's actually kind of nice when I'm like doing videos down. It's very cold in this room usually. But anyway, I guess I have the power of the Marimara no Mi, so that's interesting. Or maybe the Netsu no Mi, Oven's fruit. Which devil fruit would you like to have for the dumbest reason? Like, okay, if you were gonna play a practical joke on anybody, what devil fruit would you want to have for that? I'm not talking about have a devil fruit like, I want to be a superhero, or I'm gonna, save the Earth from an asteroid, or I'm gonna do something really, important in like the, species of humanity or something like that. No. What is the dumbest reason why you want a devil fruit, and which devil fruit is it? Let me know. Okay. All right. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the characters Bonney, Kuma, and Lilith specifically, okay? Because these are characters that are holdovers from the Egghead arc, the previous arc of One Piece, that have traveled on the Great Eric to Elbaph. So while the Straw Hats, they're the main cast of the series, this is their epic adventure going from island to island, they pick up some stragglers along the way, And it's like, a lot of times people will be under the impression like, oh, hey, they're going to be new members of the Straw Hats, and like what happened with Carrot, Carrot was there for Whole Cake Island, and then she came to Wano with everybody, and everyone's like, yeah, Carrot's gonna be a Straw Hat, right? And then once Carrot got to Wano, she was like, okay, guys, well, that was fun. I'm gonna go off with the rest of the minks now, and you're not really gonna see me for a lot of the preparation of Onigashima, but I'll be there, don't worry about it. And then she was there. Her and Wanda fought against Sparrow, which that fight even kind of was like, it was all right. It was cool. We got to see their Sulongs, side by side, Wanda and Carrot fighting together. That was interesting. And then at the end of the arc, it almost does feel like Oda was like, okay, I need to have Carrot go back to Zou. Would she just go back to Zou of her own accord, or would she want to travel with the Straw Hats? I'll just have Inuarashi and Nekomamushi throw this massive amount of, responsibility on Carrot and just be like, by the way, you're the new queen, or like the Duchess of Zou. You can pick whatever title you want. You could be a queen, you could be a baroness, you could be whatever you want, Carrot, but you're the new ruler of Zou. Have fun with that. And Carrot's like, okay, I guess. And then she went back to Zou, all right? So there you go, right? Well, in the case with Bonney and Lilith and Kuma, I don't think any of them are going to be joining the Straw Hat crew. I know there was the idea, like, during Egghead, and this happens in, like, every arc. We're going to get somebody probably in Elbaph where the fans are going to be like, oh, Loki's going to join the Straw Hat crew. Which you don't know. You don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe Gerd will join the Straw Hat crew. I don't know. Maybe Road will join the Straw Hat crew. Maybe you'll have an entire, like, we started off with Road being a horrible human being, or a horrible giant being, and then by the end of the story, maybe at the end of the arc, maybe Road will have a complete change of heart, and he'll be a good guy, and Road might save the day in Elbaph. You have no idea yet, right? Okay, and then he's like, the Strats are like, you know what? You turned over a new leaf. Frankie used to be a villain before we asked him to join. Come on, buddy. Like, yeah, no. So, yeah, Bonney and Lilith and Kuma, I don't think they're going to join the Straw Hat crew, but they're here in the arc, and I really hope there's relevance for them there. I really hope this doesn't become a thing where it's just like Lilith, Kuma, and Bonney are like, okay, well, we're gonna go off and do our own thing over here, separate from the Straw Hats' adventures. You guys have fun with your Elbaph adventure. We're gonna be over here, and then when the Straw Hats' adventure is concluded, like, they maybe play a relevance in the final battle, like Lilith is there with like a bubble rifle or something like that in the final battle of Elbaph, and then after all that's said and done, they're just like, okay, well, we're just gonna stay here. You guys have fun at your next destination, and the Straw Hats sail off for Lodestar, Laugh Tale, or, wherever they're going after Elbaph. They're going to the moon. They go up to the heaven layer, and it's like, we're going to the moon. It's like, yeah, this is the opportunity, right? Okay. I feel like during Egghead, there was a lot of chaos happening, so we didn't really get a lot of as much back lore for, like, devil fruits, for instance, as we could have. For years and years, Oda always said that, like, oh, hey, don't worry, guys. We're going to find out all about devil fruits from a certain scientist when, you know, they finally appear. And that was Vegapunk, right? And we had to wait for a long time for that. So we had to wait, like, well over a decade for Vegapunk to finally make an appearance. And then he does. And he does talk about devil fruits. He does. But really the biggest piece of information we got about devil fruits from the Egghead arc was they have something to do with human desire. Humans desire these abilities, these supernatural, superhuman abilities. I want to be like this, or I want to do this. And then that's kind of vaguely how devil fruits come into existence. Now, granted, Cypher Pull Zero was also attacking at the time, and then the Gorosei show up, and then there's a Buster Call, and so, you know, there's not a lot of time. There wasn't a lot of moments for Vegapunk to sit down with the Straw Hats and have a nice cup of tea and be like, well, Straw Hats, thank you for... I'm sorry, I have to do my Vegapunk voice. Well, Quasar, everybody. Thanks for coming down and having a cup of tea with me, Straw Hats. This is Vegapunk tea. You know, it has 100% more caffeine. Anyway, what did you want to know about devil fruits? And then, like, he just sits there and explains everything about devil fruits. So he gave, like, a quick explanation of that. We got a little bit more about awakenings. We learned that it's really difficult to control zone awakenings, and, you know, the fact that Lucci and Kaku were able to maintain their control while going into those forms is very impressive. We learned that there really is no Gamu Gamu no Mi. Well, there's no Gamu Gamu no Mi in the devil fruit encyclopedia. That's kind of important to talk about because maybe Loki has the Gamu Gamu no Mi, and it was just on Elbaph the entire time. So therefore, maybe that was the devil fruit that was, like, you know, passed down through King Harold and everything. And the reason that it wasn't in the encyclopedia is because not every devil fruit was in there, you know? It was just, this is a fruit that's isolated from most of the world, so it wasn't in that. Okay? So, you know, we find out about that, and, you know, the Sun God, we learn a little bit more about that during the arc. But there's still so many questions about devil fruits that I feel like, yeah, Vegapunk knows the answer to, and yet we didn't really get that yet. I feel like with all that information build up, like, oh, we're going to find out a lot about devil fruits when Vegapunk's there. Vegapunk shows up. We didn't find that much about it, really. And Lilith does know more. So now that things have quieted down, comparatively speaking, from Egghead, maybe we can have a moment where, you know, Lilith sits down and talks about devil fruits and actually, like, everything Vegapunk knows about them. So this is something, and because we're on Elbaph, and because Big Mom has connections to Elbaph, there is one thing that I really hope Lilith addresses, all right? And look, many of you might have already arrived at the conclusion that this is 100% what happened. I did as well. But it's still a thing that, you know, people are a little confused by about, like, the whole thing with the soul fruit. For me, it seems cut and dry. Big Mom ate Mother Caramel, and that's how she got the soul fruit. All right, I think it's very obvious of how that went down, okay? There's other ideas on how that went down, but, like, I'm going to go with that one. Still, I would really, really appreciate it for Lilith as a scientist to explain the exact mechanisms of devil fruit reincarnation, because the only thing we've gotten from that, we've gotten the very brief explanation from, like, one of Doflamingo's henchmen. That was the I don't think that dude was a scientist. He was just like, devil fruit reincarnation, yeah. Well, it's like you have a fruit and you eat it. I don't know why I'm talking like a surfer dude, but, like, whatever. I guess that's how that guy talks. Yeah, dude, you have, like, a fruit, and then you eat it, and then you get, like, a superpower. And then you die, and then the power leaves you somehow. I don't know. Does the power have, like, its own soul or something? I guess it does. Whatever, dude. I'm gonna go catch some gnarly waves after this. But anyway, the power leaves the person, and then it goes into another fruit. Like, does the fruit have to be close by? Or does it have to be a specific kind of fruit? Or how long does it take from the person dying from the fruit reincarnating? I don't know, dude. But, like, that's what happens with devil fruits, man. Right? So then we had, like, a little bit earlier than that, and at Punk Hazard, we had Smiley. We had the axolotl fruit explode, or the axolotl explode, and then the fruit power goes into this random apple that's close by. So that was instantaneous from what we understand, right? We saw that. But there's still aspects of this that I just want to have explained by a scientist. You know, like Lilith actually sits down and is like, oh, devil fruit reincarnation. Oh yeah, I've done extensive research on this. This is what happens. There is some kind of essence or soul inside of devil fruits that is indestructible, so it doesn't matter. Like maybe the fruit will be destroyed, or maybe the individual will die, but that essence of the fruit will always continue, because that has to be the case, right? It's like the soul of a person like can't be physically destroyed. You know what I mean? It's just like that essence has to leave the fruit and then travel. But how does the essence travel? Like it seems that zones have different rules than this. Like zones are capable of a little bit more cognitions of like where they're going, and like, because like they mentioned the sun god fruit was actively avoiding the government, right? And it makes sense if like the zones, especially the mythical zones, have like a level of intelligence on where they're going to reincarnate next. So like the axolotl zone just reincarnated right next to Smiley and the nearest apple, but maybe other mythical zones get to choose, like they could go further away into other fruits. Does it have to be a specific fruit? You know, how does this work? You know, there's still questions that need to be answered. Lilith should know the answers to this. Like, in terms of devil fruit reincarnation, I am sure Lilith has done, like, extensive research on this. She should know, all right? So I really hope at some point Lilith, at least if nothing else, explains more about devil fruits. And considering we are on Elbaph, which has connections to Big Mom, and as well as Loki eating that other devil fruit, like, that would actually be really cool if the devil fruit Loki ate was the legitimate Gumu Gumu no Mi. And so he thinks that he's the sun god because he has the ability to turn his body into rubber and everything, which was the devil fruit we originally thought Luffy had. And then Lilith's mind would be blown, because Lilith would be like, what? The actual Gumu Gumu no Mi? I didn't even know that fruit existed. It wasn't listed in the encyclopedia. Oh, but it was here the entire time. I guess that makes sense why it wasn't in the encyclopedia. Oh my goodness. And then Lilith has to do experiments on Loki, and then we can ship those two. You wait. You wait. You wait until that happens, okay? Like, it's like, all right, I don't know how you arrived at that conclusion, but like, Lilith and Loki, let's make it happen. There you go. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Backtrack a touch. Treasure Tree Adam. Okay, Adam and Eve, first humans in the Garden of Eden, except I believe it's in Jewish lore that Lilith was actually the first woman created, not Eve. Lilith came first, and then some stuff happened between Adam and Lilith. It didn't work out, and then God takes the rib out of Adam and creates Eve. I mean, yeah, that's how that goes. So, Adam, Eve, and there's a character named Lilith also in this arc. I did not see that up until now. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? Loki and Lilith. Let's see what that goes. Okay, so what if Lilith's the one to free Loki? Oh my god, that would make so much sense. I think that would make sense. Do you think that would make sense? Barry, come on. Lilith, the evil Vegapunk, in scientific curiosity, freeing the giant that will bring about the end of days. Come on now. Oh, how has science damned us? We went too far. I like that idea. I'm rolling with that idea. Lilith is going to free Loki. Okay, let's do it. Why not? Right? Why not? Okay, so that's that idea. That went off in a direction I did not expect, but that's that idea. Okay, now, Bonney and Kuma's story. All right, let's move on there. Let's talk about Kuma first, because he is kind of just a vegetable right now. Okay, what's going to go on with him? So first of all, we haven't really even seen him. You know what I mean? He's on the Great Eric, but ever since we, like, had the whole, like, beginning of Elbaph arc, really, I don't think we've seen Kuma at all, honestly. Like, I don't think we've seen him, like, hanging out on the ship and just being like, oh, I'm just here in the ship, smiling, just happy to be with Bonney a little bit. I mean, maybe we have, but really certainly never since they got on the Rainbow Bridge and are going up there and everything. That's actually, I think, an unfortunate part. Like, we could have seen a moment with Bonney going up to her dad and being like, hey, Dad, look, it's a rainbow bridge. And it could have just been a nice scene where, like, Kuma is there and he's just smiling. And then maybe he just, like, moves his head slightly, like, just... and just looks at the rainbow bridge with Bonney, or maybe Bonney grabs his head and like, look, Dad, rainbow, and Kuma just doesn't say anything, but, you know, it's a nice little moment nonetheless. You know, that would have been cool to see that, right? Okay. So we haven't seen anybody take Kuma off the Great Eric. I don't know how relevant he's going to be in this arc. I really don't. But I do believe, considering that he is a Buccaneer, and the Buccaneers are related to the Giants, and here we are on Elbaph, there's going to be some relevance in that alone, okay? I'm going to ask you a question. This is going to be really cruel, but, like, do you want Kuma to be healed? In the idea that, like, Kuma gets his memories and everything back, and then he is just, like, he's still the PX-0. They don't, like, remove all of the cybernetic parts, but he has his consciousness back. He has his personality back. Would you want that to happen in the story? Or, like, thematically, do you think, no, he has to stay this way? Like, that, because if he just gets that all back, then it's like, but then again, it's like, dude, they've been through so much shit, you know? It's like, it would be so nice to have Bonney get her dad back, like, genuinely. And then, you know, Kuma is just like, I have been repaired, and also I am a cyborg now. I will be the greatest dad in the universe. Come on, Bonney, let's go travel the seas. Activate jet boosters. And then they fly off into the sunset to have a bunch of adventures. Like, that would be great, but also at the same time, like, kind of removes some of the, I don't know about that one, but, like, you know, because Lilith could definitely, given enough time and materials, could patch up Kuma, I think, to the point where he's repaired enough to, like, walk around again, right? And basically, if nothing else, become, like, Bonney's personal, like, bodyguard. And because of the programming that Vegapunk implanted into all of the Kumas, all of the robots that had Kuma's appearance, I'm assuming including Kuma himself, the parameters of, like, listen to Bonney above everybody else, you know, you could have that. You could have Kuma fixed up, like, he can move around again perfectly fine, and then, you know, Bonney is there like, hey, Dad, let's go climb a tree, and Kuma is like, okay. And then they go and climb a tree, right? And he's smiling, and he's actually, like, there's a small fragment of him still in there that is, like, happy that he's back with his daughter again, okay? Like, yeah. But in terms of, like, the actual Kuma, we're never going to have his personality come back fully. Like, there's so much brain damage has been done at this point, you're not getting that back. But there's, like, small vestiges of traces of that you could say is Kuma's soul. His soul could not be completely annihilated, so that's still there, but his brain is so damaged. All right, it's no longer that anymore. So that, I think, is probably the best we could possibly get with Kuma. Now that's going to require some work on Lilith's part to, like, fix him up, and she probably doesn't have the tech that she needs right now. So that might take a little bit of time. That might even take more time than Elbaph has to offer. So that might be a situation for why, like, Lilith is like, I'm going to stay on Elbaph because I need to build up a new lab, and that's going to take some time. But Elbaph is not a bad place to do that because, you know, it's not allied with the world government. There's a giant army to protect everybody there from, like, the Marines and all that stuff. So even if the Marines found out, I'm pretty sure the Marines know that Lilith is on Elbaph right now. You know, even if they think that she died, because York did do, Atlas did do that trick where it's like, oh, Lilith is dead, right? So they might think Lilith is dead. But even if they find out she's alive, she's on Elbaph, that's not going to be easy for the Marines to just go to and, like, kill her or, like, bring her back or anything like that, right? So she might have to stay there for a little while to build up a new laboratory, and then, like, then she could fix up Kuma. But that might be, like, stuff after this arc, okay? But yeah. And then maybe she fixes him up to the point where he can at least move a little bit, and then during the final battle, we could have a scene where Kuma uses an Ursus, a shock, or, like, a pad cannon, or, like, sends people flying away to do various things. Because if she can repair Kuma to the point where he can at least move and activate his Devil Fruit ability, there you go, right? Unless he still has the Devil Fruit ability, and then the whole idea of, like, the fruit reincarnates, and then Vivi could get it. Like, that could be another idea there, like, another plot thread there with Kuma. I'm not really sure how that would go, because, like, you know, that's another question Lilith can answer about Devil Fruit reincarnation, honestly. Like, Kuma, last time we saw him, still has the ability of the Pawpaw Fruit. I mean, his brain is basically dead, but he still has the power. His body has been completely remodeled, so he doesn't have as much organic, components inside of him, but he still has the power. So at what point does death, I guess when the soul finally leaves the body, that's when the fruit is also left and it reincarnates in something else, right? So there's a theory about Vivi getting that fruit and Vivi showing up at Elbaph, and I've talked about all that before, right? So, moving on then to talking about Bonney and her role here. I first off want to say, and a lot of people have pointed this out, it's really poetic and nice that Bonney has been hanging out a lot with Robin. In the last few chapters, like every time we see Bonney, she's always like in Robin's lap and they're just like hanging out. And that's cool. Like when they were going up the rainbow bridge and Robin and Bonney are like looking at the rainbows and like, oh, look, Robin, they're twinkling. It even makes noise. And Robin's like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And that's really cool for like a number of reasons. For one thing, it was always mentioned as the Straw Hats are a family, Robin would be the mother of the Straw Hat crew. Jinbei used to be the dad, but he got either downgraded or upgraded to perverted granny. And then Jinbei is now the dad, which I think makes more sense. But yeah, Robin has always been mentioned as the mother of the crew, and that's really nice that, Bonney's spending time with her. But also, Robin had a really messed up traumatic childhood. Bonney also had a really messed up traumatic childhood. So it's nice that they're there, and Robin can be like, it'll be okay. You'll be fine. I went through some real hell growing up, and I didn't have my mother. At least you'll be fine, Bonney. It'll be okay. It's like Robin is almost like adopted Bonney a little bit, and that's really cute. Did Bonney go with the Straw Hats to witness Robin's reunion with Saul? That was a question I have. Did Lilith go as well? I went back into the chapter. I had to do like some actual like enhance. I had to like zoom in on certain panels to see if they were there. So the last time we clearly see Bonney in the last chapter is when they are at like the pub, like they dock at that port. There's the big pub where they're all gonna go in. That big crowd of giants is there, and they're like, oh, let's go in and have a big meal. And you do see Bonney with Robin at that scene. Then Robin is like, hey, I want to go over and see Saul, and the Straw Hats are like, yeah, let's all go together, okay? So from that point onward, you do not clearly see Bonney in any panel. And at the very end of the chapter, when the Straw Hats are all on the beach and they're crying, and that's like the last panel, or at least, most of them are crying. Zoro, Jinbei, and Luffy are not crying. But you see all the Straw Hats turning their heads away from Robin and Saul, and they're like, oh, they're all bawling their eyes out. You don't see Bonney there either. However, there is one panel that I'll pull up right here. You see Robin walking away. So Robin is in the foreground walking towards Saul. In the background, you see Gerd, who went with them. And then you also see that other giant lady that is like, I don't know, like a librarian in the Owl Library or something. Like she works for Saul, I would assume, right? Okay. Then you see a bunch of people on the ground, smaller people in the distance that are the Straw Hats. But I actually went through and counted how many people were there. There are 11 people on the ground there. Okay, now remember, Robin is not included because she's walking in the foreground, okay? So that would mean 9 of those people are the Straw Hats, and some of them are very obvious, like number 2 is Jinbei, number 5 is Chopper, number 9 is clearly Brooke, and number 10 is Frankie, okay? Now, that's the 11 people back there. 9 of them are the other Straw Hats. So who are the other 2? So I'm thinking the other 2 have to be Bonney and Lilith. I don't think there's any other person it could possibly be. It can't be Kuma because he's too big. He would be very obvious, like distinguishable back there. So Kuma's not back there. And I don't think there's any other humans that are with them that are that height that would be back there other than Bonney and Lilith. Seems like I went through in a lot of trouble to look through this panel and see how many people were back there, but we don't explicitly see Lilith or Bonney reacting to Saul and Robin's reunion, which makes sense because Oda wanted that to be a moment for the Straw Hats to react. So it makes sense they wouldn't be in the last panel, but there are 2 other people that would be back there. And it would make sense for Lilith and Bonney to go with them. Why would Robin is like, okay, Bonney, well, I'm just going to leave you here and I'm going to go and see Saul. And then the Straw Hats were like, cool, let's go too, Robin. And Robin's like, all right, Bonney, Lilith, you stay here. We're going to go see Saul. It wouldn't make any sense. So they would have gone with them, okay? This is important for Lilith because Lilith has to talk to Saul. After the reunion is done, Lilith and Saul have to sit down and have a conversation about a bunch of things, okay? Robin, too, like, have that moment, okay? Now, with Bonney being there, because I just want to see her reaction to this, too. I want to see Bonnie's reaction to Robin and Saul being reunited. We'll probably get that in the next chapter if we just follow up on this kind of stuff. And then maybe they'll go in the Owl Library for a little bit. Maybe we'll find out who that other giant, like, what her name is. Maybe that was Ripley, and we'll find out a little bit about her. And then maybe some, like, catch-up stuff about Robin and Saul and everything, bring everybody up to speed, and then they'll go back to the banquet hall, okay? Maybe like that, okay? One aspect that I was actually considering on Bonney being very relevant to the Elbaph arc here, because Egghead was undoubtedly more about Bonnie's story, okay? So she's not going to be as relevant as she was in Egghead, because that was more of her arc, as it were. However, one of the theories that we were discussing about Yggdrasil, or the Treasure Tree Atom, or more specifically, Louis Arnault's quote of, "Do not linger in Elbaph for too long." One of the things we mentioned there was something to do with time being warped, or something to do with characters aging faster on Elbaph, or slower, or relative to the outside world. Like, it messes with time or aging in some way. That's not confirmed in the slightest. That's just like a theory that a lot of people were throwing out, and I made a video a little while ago where I was just throwing out that idea, and I got kind of confused by it. I'm going to say this. What if that is the case? What if Louis Arnault gave a cautionary warning of, like, yeah, if you stay on Elbaph for too long, you're going to age faster or slower, or time gets messed up or something, so don't stay here for too long, right? It's not going to end well. Well, Bonney literally has the Toshi no Mi. She has the age fruit, okay? Now, the fruit does not have a permanent effect on other people, right? Like, that's a rule of the fruit. But I'm just saying that, like, if there is an effect of being on Elbaph where it messes with your aging, and Bonney literally has an age-based devil fruit, that's the whole point of her powers, you could see maybe how those two could counteract each other. You could see how, like, oh, we're aging faster on Elbaph, and then Bonnie's like, right, but what if I just do this? Oh, that fixed it. Okay. Because let's say the effects of Elbaph are temporary as long as you stay on the island. Well, Bonnie's effects are also temporary, so maybe they could cancel each other out. That could be something. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Honestly, it was just about the idea of getting Bonney and Kuma reunited at Egghead and then getting them off the island. They do not need to hang out with the Straw Hats for the rest of the story. I don't think they're going to. Neither with Lilith. I don't think Lilith needs to go all the way to Laughtail with the Straw Hats. I really want that moment to just be something with the Straw Hats, and also Vivi as well. If Vivi comes back and she properly joins, I'd like to see Vivi there on Laughtail. But I think that should be a moment with the Straw Hats and, like, nobody else that they just bring with them. Although, that would be funny if the Straw Hats at some point just pick some random person up and be like, okay, let's go to Laughtail. And so one random dude just like, whoa, I fell asleep at a port, ended up with the Straw Hats, and now I'm at the One Piece. Okay, shit, all right, that's wild. That would be funny just in that regard. But I want it to just be a regular person, just a regular dude, not like anybody relevant that has any real powers or hockey or devil fruit powers or anything like that. Just like a random dude that showed up at the One Piece. So anyway, yeah, that's just something I had for the idea that, like, Bonney could maybe use her abilities there. And we could also, by the way, because the giants worship the sun god, we've gone through, like, the sun god bargain sale. We got Loki, we got Road, we got Luffy, and then we also have Bonney. So, dude, at the end of this arc, are we just going to have a sun god battle royale? Are we just going to see, like, 5 characters that are all claiming to be the sun god brawling it out to the end? Yes. The idea that Bonney can assume the form of Gear 5th Luffy, that's going to be relevant here. That's going to be important, considering that the sun god is a deity, all right? That's going to be extraordinarily relevant for this. I just don't know in which way it's going to be utilized. But that's definitely going to be a point for why Bonney is with the Straw Hats now, and this also can tie into Kuma being there as being a priest of the sun god, and how, you know, he worshipped him for a long time, and then Lilith just from the scientific angle of everything, right? So anyway, that's where I'm at right now on what's going to happen with these 3 characters. Let me know down below what you think on what they're going to do, and let me know what you think about that idea I just had out of nowhere, like Lilith is going to be the one to free Loki. That could be a thing that happens, definitely. All right, well, with that being said, let's now move on to the letter H of Tree Facts. Today, we're going to be talking about the holly tree. Now, I'm kind of cheating with this one a little bit, to be honest with you, because it's not exclusively a tree. It's also a shrub, but whatever, close enough. It's the holly tree, or the English holly, or Christmas holly. There's a bunch of different names for it, and it's a very prominent thing around Christmas time. Just look at the song, Deck the Halls. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. There it is, right? Okay. So, what is Holly? Okay, so Holly is a character in JoJo Part 3 in Stardust Crusaders. She is Jotaro's mother, and she passes out very early on in the story and serves as the impetus on why they have to go. She basically serves as the ticking clock in order to go and defeat Dio. Now, it's a little weird, I'd say, in the story, because, like, Joseph was a really strong fighter, and he could master his stand, and then Jotaro also, and it's kind of weird that Holly doesn't have the ability to master her stand. Like, she's just automatically weak for, I guess because of her nature as a caring mother, she can't manipulate a stand. It's a little weird, I gotta say, and it's cool to see more stuff from her, but whatever, what can you do? What was the name of her stand anyway? Did it have a name, or was it just like unnamed Holly stand? Okay, whatever, I'm going off on that. Go to X-Force on that if you want to learn more about stands. Actually, X-Force just did a video on every stand in JoJolion, which I have not read, but go check out X-Force video on JoJolion. Okay, so, holly, right? It's a plant. It has dark green, spiky, spiny leaves and red berries. And these were very important. They grow on like evergreen trees and these shrubs, and very important back in the day, especially in like by the Celts, because they would see it as like eternal life, because it's the one tree that just doesn't like die in the winter. It stays green all year round, hence evergreen, okay? So it's a symbol of eternal life, protection, that kind of jazz. The Romans would, it would be relevant for them during their Saturnalia festival, the festival to celebrate Saturn, the god of agriculture. It'd be relevant during their times, a lot of pagan celebrations there. In Celtic teachings, the ruler of like the summer months would be the Oak King, and the ruler of the winter months would be the Holly King. So very important there. Now, the spiky leaves as well as the berries are relevant also in Christian teachings, where the spiky leaves are supposed to be representative of the crown of thorns on Jesus Christ's head during his crucifixion, and the berries represent the blood of Christ. So that's kind of metal, right? Now, the berries are toxic, so do not eat them. If you've ever like seen them around, is like, especially walking in the woods during the winter, you might see these berries. Yeah, don't eat them. So the thing is, they contain toxins called saponins, and they mess with the lining of your stomach and your digestive system, okay? And in high quantities can be fatal, although I guess that could be said for pretty much anything. I mean, if you ingest enough vitamin C, that could be fatal. For that, go check out Askinak Levar's ability from Bleach. But if you only eat like one or two of them, probably not going to cause a problem, but don't do that because it's going to lead to nausea and vomiting, stomach pain, and diarrhea. But you probably would like drink a lot of water. If you do accidentally ingest this, drink a lot of water and go see a doctor. Do not ingest them. They are toxic. But, one of them is just not going to like kill you instantly, but still should not eat them, right? Anyway, that is the holly tree. Yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We're not at Christmas yet. It's only the 15th. Also, speaking of, I'm going to be doing the charity stream for St. Jude Children's Hospital this Saturday, December 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel. Like a day or two before, I'll put up like the stream itself, and it'll count down, so you just click on that to save it. Thanks for watching as always, everybody. This will be Teching, signing out. Go to the end screen.